네, 안녕하세요. 여러분의 협력자 엘라이 고아라입니다. 저희는 지금 콜리전 현장에 나와 있는데요. 근데 제가 여기서 굉장히 반가운 한국 분들을 만났어요. 그래서 한번 인터뷰해 보겠습니다. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, nice to see you again here in Collision.
Yeah, nice to see you again. And then, hello, Daniel.
Hi, how are you?
So, like Andrew, like you might know already, like from like a Quebec office in Seoul, and then Daniel from KIC Washington. So, like we heard of like Kotra many times, but what about KIC? Would you give us like brief explanation about your organization?
Yeah, so KIC is a government-backed accelerator located in Washington, D.C. We help startups from pre-seed stage all the way to the IPO stage right now. We had 3 programs from the idea stage, the middle stage, and the growth stage.
I see. And then, is there any reason that you participated here in Collision?
We were fortunate to be invited by Andrew and the Quebec government to participate and meet other Korean founders and startups.
Amazing. Okay, then Andrew, can I ask you the specific reason why you invited KIC?
Yes, of course. So obviously the Quebec office in Seoul, we have multiple roles. Our main role is to connect the Quebec and Korean ecosystem. And KIC is a very big part of the Korean ecosystem. I mean, as Daniel mentioned, KIC, they have offices also in the Silicon Valley area. They have several around the world because they want to help Korean startups access their respective local ecosystems. So my role was to connect them to the Quebec ecosystem as well, because we have over 100 startups coming, we have accelerators, we have government, a lot of people are here, so it's a no-brainer to bring KIC and form partnerships together. Perhaps like a startup exchange.
Yeah, sounds amazing. So actually, I've been KIC Silicon Valley last year, and then like met some people from Berlin. But I heard that all the region has a different roles, and then there was the like specific role about KIC in Washington.
So we take care of the East Coast part of the U.S. So if we have companies coming in from South Korea into the U.S., we might send them to the West Coast region or anywhere in the world, but we are the hub for the East Coast.
I see. And then I got to know that maybe in October there's something big going on, and then also would you give us some explanation about that?
Yeah, so in October we have the DeFi conference. It's from October 31st to November 1st. We have 50 to 60 startups from Korea showcasing their products, and we'll have sponsors to provide them support and kind of the networks that they need to succeed in the US.
And then also I heard that there's some fund related activities going on, which is very important to many startups.
Yeah, so we're currently working with Virginia and their investment arm VIPC to create a fund for Korean founders so that we can provide them the financial push that they need when they soft land in the US. And Virginia, they're very good with their wraparound services for their soft landing program. So we're working with them to create this fund so that that the Korean founders have a less of a burden when they come to the States.
Oh yeah. It sounds also very meaningful because many like Korean startups, they're like struggling like how we can enter like US market and North American market, also including Canada, and then the fund will be really like helpful. And then the what can be the like a condition, like what process like Korean startup need to go through to get some funding.
So for the funding wise, it has to be 30% Korean founder. So we can kind of invest outside of that as well, but we want them to be located or be soft landed in Virginia, and they can be from pre-seed to seed stage at any vertical, but we do want to focus on the AI side just because we're near the government, the White House, so we want to focus on the cybersecurity and the deep tech companies.
I see. But I guess that many people really don't know about like what can be benefit being in Virginia. So also it'd be great to hear like a couple of any characteristics or like benefits.
So the benefit is that the the investment arm of Virginia, they're very supportive of international founders and minorities. So the services that they provide is I believe one of the best within the U.S. And they're very open-minded about the type of companies that can be situated there. And there are so many regions within Virginia that can be beneficial to startups when they come in as agricultural companies, biotech companies, cybersecurity companies. And Virginia, they're the data center hub in the U.S. So, data companies, we had the K-Data coming to Virginia to look at the facilities within the Virginia area to kind of, study the data centers. So there's a lot of benefits for Korean companies to be located in Virginia.
Wow, sounds amazing. Okay, then let's move from Virginia to Quebec. Now here we are at Collision in Toronto, and then you're promoting Quebec. What would be the benefit to like a Korean startup or any other startups in the world to come to Quebec?
I mean, Quebec has a very historically been a big player in the innovation sector. I mean, for example, AI. I'm sure people know AI, this concept of AI started long ago, maybe in the 1950s, 60s. And obviously it took a long time to develop. And probably a lot of people who are familiar with concepts like AI, so these kind of innovation, there needs to be a lot of government support, like AI quantum sector, that maybe it needs a long-term strategy. So Quebec and Canada as well, we've been spearheading these kind of strategies. So when other countries thought, hey, AI quantum, maybe in the short term there isn't much going on, so we can't do much with it. But the public sector like Canada or Quebec, we've continued to invest in this kind of innovation, and now we are seeing the fruits of that labor now. So the AI ecosystem in Quebec is very renowned these days. A lot of Korean people, I just had a day trip to Montreal, we signed some deals. So there's a lot of good innovative things going on in Quebec, but also in Canada as well.
I see, yes. And especially like in Montreal, it's not only for AI, but also like EV related, it's like much growing. But at the same time, for like Korean or any other like startup from different country, might concern that some language issues or weather issues during the winter time. Maybe then you can give us like a little bit more explanation how people can handle that.
Yes, it's exactly true. Yes, Canada is known to be a bit of a cold country. So yes, in one perspective, that could be a disadvantage. But let's say you're an EV company and you work in Montreal. You will have to face those challenges, and that'll be part of your innovation. So let's say maybe you're from a not as cold country, then maybe you won't have to think about the coldness in terms of charging or batteries. But if you were incubated or innovated in Montreal, you would already have faced that problem, and you already have the solution, giving you a competitive edge against companies that never had to deal with this in the first place. So I think, yes, you're right. It could be a disadvantage too, but it could be an advantage as well.
I see. Okay, so now with the KIC and then with the Ally, is there something that you wanna like create any like project or something with like in Quebec?
Yes, absolutely. So just to give a big picture, everyone's probably heard of that Indo-Pacific or Trans-Pacific strategy in the bigger picture. And one of my role is to engage in that where, yes, we could engage Canada or America and Quebec together, but it's Korea and Quebec or America's kind of far. So our strategy is to engage the Korean sector because it's part of that Indo-Pacific strategy in America. And KIC is in America. So Quebec, America, geographic, it's closer, but it's still Korea because it's funded by the Korean government. So this is kind of the approach we've been starting to take. So we work a lot with Korean entities in Silicon Valley, now Washington, D.C. and elsewhere as well. And maybe for Ally, I mean, you've been helping with us a lot with media interviews. You've been doing a lot of the work that I kind of do, but I'm only one person. So you could help some of the startups. You've been already bridging that quite a lot. So I really appreciate Ally Consulting. You've been helping out with joint research as well. You set us up with B2Bs from Quebec and Korean companies. So that's a no-brainer to work with you guys. And also, you guys could provide those services for KIC as well because they need that as well.
Indeed, as we are supporting especially like many tech startups to go global, like definitely like in Quebec and Virginia and the overall like the US market, I think we are very happy that we can support many those startups. But then I think maybe like some of people can be very curious why those three Koreans are speaking in English. So Andrew actually like Korean Canadian, and then Daniel is Korean American. So I think also interesting talk about like how do you feel about like seeing Korean startup, like their pitching and then all their activity here at Collision.
It's actually very meaningful because if you think about it, I'm Korean Canadian, so I'm bridging the Canadian and Quebec and Korean, ecosystems together. And for Daniel as well, he's Korean American. Yes, he works for a Korean entity, but it's still in America, bridging startups from Korea and America. I think it's very meaningful. Actually, at least from my perspective. What do you think?
Well, it's likewise for me. I think Andrew phrased it perfectly, so I don't think I need to.
Okay. And then lastly, if there is any advice you can give to many startups, like can I ask?
Make a clear deck on what the problem is and how you can solve it, because the investors tend to lose focus after 10 seconds. So if the Korean founders can focus more on the problem and solution rather than their accomplishments, I think that would be very helpful.
And my advice is engage with people like myself, Daniel. Also, there's Daniel's colleague, Hayne, is also with us as well, because they have experience within startups. He used to be an investor as well. So we know how to kind of help startups grow, talk to investors, pitch deck, all that stuff. So I would say you must engage with people like us in the ecosystem so that we could help.
Yeah, amazing. So I can see like so many startups, not only Korean, but all over the world, they are doing working very hard. But I really want to be really like ready for it and then study about it, and especially like written in like all the materials and your name card. Please like double check, and those are really important. So so we hope you all the success for you, and then hope to see you here in Collision or CS or somewhere else. Let's go global, fighting!